Hello, my name is Duncan. I'm joined today by
Todd.
Welcome back to Manchester, Todd.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
What can you tell me a little bit about what brings you back here today?
Yeah, so I'm here for the Open Day, which is happening tomorrow.
Right.
And I'm going to be speaking at the Open Day. But of course, every time I come to Manchester, whatever reason I concoct to come here is not the real reason, because I have a bunch of friends who are still here.
Right.
So I'll also be seeing them and catching up, etc., etc.
And it's been, how long has it been since you graduated now?
It's been a while now. It's been a decade. I can officially say the decade word, which is a bit scary in a sense. But I graduated in, actually not, 2016, almost a decade.
Just under a decade, 9 years ago.
Yeah,
and
9 years ago.
So you had quite an interesting career because you started out in engineering, which is where you kind of expect people with computer science degrees to, or lots of computer science degrees go into that.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that journey? So during your study, you did internships, I think. You tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I came here to study computer science, BSc computer science, and it's always what I wanted to do. And one really nice thing about studying computer science is if you want to go into software engineering, you do a lot of these internships. So every summer, I was at a different company.
Right.
So I was at web development companies. I went to Morgan Stanley, the investment bank. I went
in London.
In London, yeah. I went to Google in Munich, in Germany.
Right.
And that was happening in the summer. And this was me trying to learn essentially how to be a software engineer.
Yeah.
And then in the term time, I'd be here in Manchester learning how to be a computer scientist and kind of developing these dual skill set.
These two things together.
Which you need to have.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So was there anything, I mean, apart from sort of doing internships, was there any support that you found useful from the community or the university?
Yeah. So the whole kind of process of going to do computer science and then turning into a software engineer at the end, it's quite a funny one because you, as I said before, you have to develop these dual skill sets, and a lot of people at the university are trying to do that, and there's a lot of community of people navigating that path, if you like.
Your peers doing the
exactly
in different places.
Yeah. So you have a sense of the rhythm of the academic year. People applying for different opportunities at different times. Your friends like figuring out, where are you going, where have you applied, what was the interview like, etc. So this is quite a big part of it. Of course, the university is also helping.
Yeah.
I think the internship I got with Morgan Stanley, that was directly from a careers event that we had in the faculty. And I just got talking to them. And one thing led to another. I found myself at the application day.
Yeah.
And then I found myself in London.
Right.
And I think those things just happened. There was an air of it, of
chance.
Opportunity. Yeah.
I suppose a little bit.
Yeah. I was quite lucky, I think, in that respect. But you also, to an extent, make your own luck. The opportunities were there.
Yeah.
And I was able to grab them. Yeah.
Grab them all of that. That's good to hear. So after graduating, you went back to London, or was it Munich to?
Yeah, so I went to London very, very briefly. I started a master's degree. And then I got a job offer from Google. And I kind of weighed up these two things. Either spend another year doing what was probably going to be a very difficult course, or go and be a software engineer, which is what I really, really wanted. So
which was better paid, obviously.
Also much better paid, yeah. So I ended up going to Google in Munich, which I have to say I never imagined doing, to be honest. Much to the horror of my mum, I have to say. I was leaving the UK and going to work in Germany. So yeah, that's what happened, and it was great. It really was great.
It's a good place to work, obviously putting all that theory that you learn as a scientist into practice as an engineer.
Yeah.
But your career took a little bit of a pivot in that you started getting interested more in sort of technology policy work. Can you tell us a little bit about how that happened?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's still a surprise for me to talk about it. I think if I'd have, you'd have got 18-year-old me watching this conversation that we're having now, I probably wouldn't have believed it. But essentially, when I was working, I started to think about the things that I was doing at work. And I was trying to solve all these problems that people were having in their day-to-day. So I was working on Google's password manager, for example. And it was a lot of fun because hundreds of millions of people use that software. And to the extent that you can try and keep them safe online, it's pretty useful. At the same time, I would read about things like the climate crisis, for example.
Yeah.
And I was struggling to figure out how these things could fit together.
Right.
How my work as a software engineer could tackle some of those bigger questions that we were facing. So I began to get more and more interested in policy on the side, and ended up doing a part-time master's degree.
Right.
And then one thing led to another, and then I ended up starting a PhD in law,
Which is in
in
the UK now.
Yeah, which is back in London. Yeah,
Right.
so I moved back, much to my mum's delight, I have to say.
So back in the UK, and you started that this year?
So I'm in my 4th year of the PhD.
Oh, you're right. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're getting ready to submit. I
to
guess?
submit. Yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk about this.
Right,
Like,
okay,
always
It's a
the
taboo
horror
subject.
of the finally a PhD student. Yeah.
But yeah, I understand you've been teaching law students.
Yeah.
Which is something you probably didn't expect to
Right,
do as a
no, I
computer scientist.
Definitely didn't realize, and it's actually really interesting. The technology and in business, in academia, is becoming more and more important everywhere, really.
Right.
And so much of what you learn as a computer scientist and what you put into practice as a software engineer is relevant to policy debates, to the ways that we enforce the law. So I found myself in the law faculty, in one sense, feeling a bit of an outsider as someone without a law degree, and in another sense, with expertise in an area that no one else in the faculty had.
Yeah.
And it's quite surprising how being a computer scientist, being a software engineer, set me up in that kind of way.
Right. Stuff. So, can you remember what switched you on to all this right back in the beginning? You said at the beginning there you wanted to be a computer scientist.
Yeah.
That was what you always wanted to
Yeah.
do. Was there something that led to that? Was there a moment in school where you thought, oh, this is interesting?
There were quite a few, yeah. I have this early memory of being in primary school and watching the IT technician type in a password to the computer.
Right.
An eagle-eyed 5-year-old Todd kind of watched what character she typed in and was like, oh, the password is such and such.
Right.
and she was so annoyed at me because then she had to go and change all of the passwords on all of the computers. And I think maybe it was this that sparked an initial interest. And I have to say this mischief carried on throughout school for me. I had some pretty bad detentions for hacking the high school computers as well. But I was programming from being, 12, 13 or so, making Android apps, and I kind of always had my eye on being a software engineer, also on working at Google in particular, because I was developing Android apps, which is of course owned and made by Google.
Good.
So it was quite,
it's been an interesting journey.
It has. It's very exciting, yeah.
I know now you're back in Manchester. I mean, is it? So I know you've only been back recently, but how is it being back in Manchester and coming back to the Kilburn building and seeing the university's changed a little bit since you've been away? That really building was it last time?
Yeah. Well, that exact experience is what I've had quite a few times already. I'm looking at a building and be like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Yeah. It's great to be back. I think the university's changed a lot. The facilities have changed a lot. I see a lot more cycleways, which is nice. In some ways, I think the only thing that hasn't really changed is the weather, to be honest. But yeah, it's great to be back. But I guess some things stay the same as well.
Yes.
You're still here.
Yeah. So
which is nice.
So your friends in Manchester, are they working in Manchester or?
Yeah. So there's Chris Williamson. He's at Manchester, and he's at JLR at the moment, Jaguar Land Rover. And then there's also Martin Jacks. I did the degree with him. He's at ARM at the moment, also in Manchester. And they're both senior software engineers by now. So when I look at their careers, they see the career that I could have had I not done this switch. No, I think
trying to get them into the policy bugs.
They're keeping me grounded. I think that's how it actually works in practice. But
Good.
We have a little group chat that we've had since 2013, I think.
Right. Okay.
So
Still
we have
going.
a very, very rich history of messages in there.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
And thanks for making this video.
It's been a pleasure.